Hey, what's going on, everyone? Oh, it's been a long time since I've been able to been on here and talk and you know discuss everything with you guys. So yeah, thank you all for waiting. For those that are tuning in, I do apologize. I had meant to start at 8, and we had some things come up where our guest unfortunately won't be able to make it. But again, I want to say thank you all for tuning in tonight. It is a Friday night. Currently, it's 8:32, 31. So yeah, I wasn't about to stream because of complications, but hey, missed you too, Ancient Americas. Thank you very much. Um, but I was like, you know what? There's probably people here waiting, so I wanted to come in and talk with you all and just kind of give you some updates in terms of the channel itself, and of course where we're going in the future. If some of you don't notice, I'm using a camera that is providing way better imagery, better graphics than I have in the past. So I would like that to be a representation of my plans of moving forward with this YouTube channel, making more content. The I would say the description of this YouTube channel is still the same. Of course, as I've said in the past, I believe that some YouTube channels that focus solely maybe on one thing. A lot of YouTube channels are successful, of course, but some it can be a little bit hard to be one-dimensional. Where I think with my YouTube channel, where I was going, yes, there was a lot of content I could cover and discuss about, but I like to be more multi-dimensional in terms of bringing in different topics that I'm more familiar with, that I'm more acquainted with in terms of maybe things about travel, right? Or things about other parts of the world, other topics that I find very interesting. But at the end of the day, I do like to focus on indigenous subjects, the culture and the history of people of the Americas that are of indigenous descent will always interest me, and I'll always want to create content for. So again, to those that are subscribed and those that are tuning in right now, thank you so much for watching my content and still watching my videos. That being said, in the future, I do have places that I will be going. Some parts I have plans for South America and Asia, and I like to publish content, but I like to add that my content for the future will be a little bit more um, well defined, I would say, in terms of what I want to do, where I go out in the world. With this camera, I think I can do a lot of things for this channel and provide better quality content for you all that are tuning in. Aside from that, in terms of bringing on great guests, bringing on more people, that still has been a part of this channel, and I still plan on doing that in the future. So yeah, that being said, yeah, so it's Friday night, and not much too going on when you live in a small area in the Midwest, and I'm still where I'm at. So yeah, again, if anyone has any questions so far, I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, let's kind of start with the current climate of the world. I know right now we are right before a presidential inauguration for the United States. I think that will be quite interesting. I will say that I want to be optimistic that the future will be really positive for everyone. Before I go on further, you know what? I'll go ahead and send my StreamYard out to anyone that is interested in joining. You're more than welcome to hop on and want to talk or chat it up. Again, for those that are tuning in, unfortunately our guest cannot make it in flood, so we'll just be continuing on with me. So if anyone wants to join, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, again, so the future moving forward, there's a lot of wild things going on. Unfortunately, wars and turmoil that's happening in different parts of the world. It's sad. In terms of being optimistic there, I could maybe share some of my points or my views. But going back to what I was discussing earlier in terms of the presidential inauguration, yeah, I think being optimistic is obviously a good thing, because you, because you want, I mean, if you live in the US, you want the country to do well. You want, yourself to do well and to thrive and do good. I think someone said, "Oh, what's up, Andy?" Yeah. So that being said, that's just a few days away, but I also know that there's other things going on too. For those that are tuning in from the Los Angeles area, if anyone's on right now that's from around there, I really hope that you're okay. I'm aware of the fires that are going on. That's also quite sad as well. And then, of course, with something else that I wanted to ask my guest about was the current drone activity that's been happening right now. It's also quite interesting, I would say, and to those that aren't kind of aware of it, there's been a lot of unidentified drone activity going on in the skies of the US and around the world. And for the most part, and to my understanding, it's been unexplainable, unless someone has a good answer, in terms of politicians and those in government, in terms of what we know as the public, we're not too familiar with. And I am really not too sure what that could be. So that being said, that certainly makes things really interesting going ahead into the future and what we could find out. But aside from that, if anyone had any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. And then we'll go on with next few topics in terms of Indigenous content that I wanted to cover. So, of course, I'm just reading comments. So, of course, again, in terms of creating fundraising events, as I've done a few things in the past, helping an Indigenous community out in Mexico with the GoFundMe, which I think I created, that was a couple of years ago. Last year, I made a small community post about helping, providing any sort of assistance, monetary assistance to an organization that works in the Amazons as well, that helps with not just Indigenous people, but also nature, the Amazon rainforest, ensuring that a lot of prosperity can come from there. So I think that for those of you that are interested, that really are maybe far away from Indigenous communities, it's a good way to make a positive contribution to the world. So I still plan on continuing with that as well. Maybe some people have asked about the title of this channel. I still plan on keeping it, but I do believe that within the foreseeable future, I will plan on changing the image of this channel. I will be retiring the Aztec Warrior. It had its time, I would say, and I have been meaning to change it. So probably by next month, you'll start to see some changes about that. That being said, covering Indigenous content, bringing on guests. I do plan on making a live stream next week with a few of my guests that maybe you've met before. I'll keep it a surprise. But it's been a long time, and I really look forward to putting more content together for you all. That being said, if anyone has any questions in the chat, I'm more than happy to answer them. I was going to make this live stream relatively quick, only because it is just me, and this wasn't planned. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. So where do you plan on going? Ancient America said, where do you plan on going in terms of, sorry, the words are popping up. To go in South America or in Asia? Or is that a spoiler in details? I'll reveal some information about that. I do plan on going to China for a week, and I hope to make some really beautiful content there in the cities that I'm going, such as Hong Kong and Shenzhen. Yeah. Um, in terms of some reasons that I'm going, I usually like to keep that more, I would say, to myself, but I'm happy to share it with you, Ancient Americas, maybe outside of the stream. In terms of South America, I would like to go to the Amazons in Peru at some point as well. In terms of cities, I'm looking at maybe Iquitos or maybe Manaus, Brazil. But I do hope to get to the Amazons and focus on making some content there. And I think, to my understanding, Ancient Americas, you were organizing a trip, or there was something that was happening on your end. I was a little bit busy over last year, so I would have loved to attend, but I hope the best for what's happening. I think somewhere in Oaxaca, but yeah, that sounds exciting. Oh, you live in Los Angeles, California. Okay, well, Andy, I hope you're all right where you're at. I think the fires are more controlled now. Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, that's great. I've heard a lot of great things of Oaxaca. It's an interesting place just south of Mexico City. Not many people know of it, so I've known of that city for a while. I believe that's where, going about indigenous history, I think a lot of Tlaxcalan people lived there during like the 1500s. I could be wrong, but I know that that's not where Mayan people resided. That's more so in like the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, and Chiapas, more southern. I think that's like right, yeah, south of Mexico City. But that's an interesting place. I would hope to get there one day as well. There's so many beautiful places to go in Mexico. There's Chiapas, there's Oaxaca, there's Yucatan, there's northern Mexico, where Juan was at, and obviously Mexico City. There's Teotihuacan. So there's so many beautiful places to see. So if you're someone that's been to a decent amount of places, I would say, if you ever want to travel, yeah, Mexico is a great place. There's so much to see. And if it's a little bit harder to travel, I would say that one of the more easier places would be Mexico, if it's your first time traveling, because it's right next to us, if you're an American. And I've been to Cancun and a few areas. I think maybe some of you have seen the travel videos that I've made. And I would add that, aside from the, vacation spots in Cancun, there's definitely many other areas to see. I've been to Tulum, which had ancient Mayan ruins. I've been to, oh man, I forgot, one of the 7 wonders of the world. It's actually sad that I can't remember right now. I know it's on the tip of my tongue. Chichen Itza, there. Yes. That's a really beautiful place too. But yeah, aside from Mexico, there's also Guatemala, Belize as well. I'm only saying that because I've been there, but there's tons of other places. So yeah, I would say it's a good time to get out and explore the world, and of course follow Ancient Americas as well. I know that, as he's mentioned, they're going to Oaxaca. I'm sure we go into other beautiful places too in the future. So that's amazing that you're able to bring other people there. So yeah, again, I had hoped to make this short on Project 2025. I'm not sure I know what Project 2025 is. I think maybe I've heard of it, but I don't know the full details. So yeah, that being said, if anyone didn't have any other questions, I'll keep the chat open maybe for a minute or two. and then I'll probably wrap this up. Again, I do apologize for everyone that hope to see a video, but maybe actually soon, next week. Eating flavor blasted goldfish. I like goldfish. I will again, to those that are tuning in, I do plan on making a live video next week with some guests, and that will be a lot of fun. As I said, we'll discuss a lot of like societal topics happening in the world. It will be just after the inauguration, so I'll have a lot of things to say. On top of that, I think we'll also be talking about TikTok as well. That's also something of interest to me, because I know it's shutting down within the next few days, but it's kind of funny because now they're all, a lot of the people on TikTok are now moving to another Chinese app, which is called Little Red Book. And I believe the purpose for TikTok to be closed down was because it presented a national security threat, because it's from a peer adversary. But now people are moving to another app instead, which is also made from China. So it's a funny world we live in. Yeah, I believe so. You're right, Ancient Americas. I believe that is true. I need to get more familiar with Chinese history, because I've been there. Is Indigenous Podcast going to do reaction videos in 2025? Yes, of course. I definitely plan on doing that. Making reaction videos again. It'll be good to get back in the swing of things. Again, it's been some time. It's been some time since I think Juan and I were making reaction videos, so I'll look forward to doing that. Again, to those that are tuning in, I've managed to update my content and the quality of my content, and I hope, again, this serves as a symbol moving forward that I want to continue making videos for you all, and better quality videos as well. And to people that just came in that were curious of my travels, I do plan on being in China and some places in South America, Peru or Brazil. I've had plans to go back there for some time. I have been to Peru before. It's where I was born. And I would say out of the 18 countries that I've been to, Peru is probably my favorite. I don't want that to come off as biased because I was born there, but I'm just being honest. I would say that there's no other country on earth that's quite like Peru and its history, not to mention the architecture that they have is unlike anywhere else, I would say, on earth. Well, maybe you could add Bolivia. Bolivia and Peru share a lot of similarities in terms of architecture because they were one nation, so you could say at one time. We're in Peru, Ancient Americas. Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll probably spend a little bit of time in Lima, but I'm actually deciding between Iquitos or there's another Amazonian city. I forgot what it's called. Puerto Maldonado. Right. So Iquitos is a bigger city in the Amazon rainforest. And it also, I guess, there's no roads that lead to it. So it's like the largest isolated city in the world in the Amazon rainforest. So it's kind of unique to me. Again, it's a bigger city, where Puerto Maldonado is a smaller city, and there's more nature, I would say, where you can really get maybe a better feel for life, for the animals and the plants and the trees and everything. So I'm deciding between that. There's also another city as well that I hope to see. I know it's called, I think it's called Ayacucho. Let me just check here. Yeah, it's Ayacucho, which is kind of similar, I think, in some ways to Cusco. So we'll see how things go this year. But my plans is already to be in China by next month. So yeah, a lot of big plans this year. A human reaction, more than likely for TikTok. I would say though that to better answer your question, I would say all three. Lima being near the coast, and I think Lima's a unique city. Something else I actually plan on doing. I hope to make a top 10 city video. That's now that I've been to a certain amount of countries, I would like to push a video and just explain my reasons as to which one is my favorite, and then which one is I would say would be the reason for being at number 10. And yeah, I think I can provide a lot of information to those that have never been to those cities that have plans on going there in the future. And yeah, that would be a good video to put out. But whoops, sorry. So yeah, the coast, Lima, the mountains would be Ayacucho, and then the rainforest would either be Puerto Maldonado or Quitos. Can Indigenous podcasts begin to cover Red River Metis? A lot is happening with them in Canada. Of course, I would like to look into that. So I appreciate you telling me. Yeah, thank you very much, Victoria, for sharing that. Let me see what you said here. Project 2025 was bad because it puts establishment of an autocracy and rights Indigenous people. Okay, wow. Thank you, Andy, for sharing that. I'll have to look more into that. I didn't know them. Yeah, definitely within this year, I would like to cover more and focus more on Indigenous land rights and just what's happening in the U.S. too, because I do like to put my focus on what's happening inside the United States. Sorry, Andy, what did you say? Did you know that Indigenous people don't own cats because they consider them a symbol of white supremacy? I didn't know that. I'd be curious which Indigenous people, because there's a lot of people that view cats differently, Andy. So I like cats. I like all animals for the most part, because I think it's important to remember that, especially those that aren't too familiar with Indigenous peoples, that Indigenous people of the Americas is very diverse. It goes from Alaska all the way down to Patagonia. And there's different communities, there's different nations that all have very different views on the world. There's not like a main consensus on the view of cats, right? So let's just make sure that we know, when you say things like that we're maybe more specific. I think that actually brings up a good point, is that Claude and I, we're going to bring up the topic of and I'm not saying that you're stereotyping, Andy. I'm just saying some people make the mistake of stereotyping. Indigenous people. That is what we are going to discuss in terms of what happens in the education system, because yes, we're living in 2025, but the education system currently right now could use a little work. I'm saying that lightly. And I definitely think that, again, as I've said the past few years, I I would say views on indigenous people of the Americas is not very sufficient in terms of understanding the differences in diversity and also the problems that indigenous communities have within the Americas, and what is the cause and what is the reason as to why many of them are in the state they still are today, despite many years of help and government assistance. So yeah, that was one thing that we wanted to cover. Is just, unfortunately, there are a lot of problems, and creating generalizations is one of those that I think definitely could be fixed more. That brings up a good topic of the education system in the U.S. I do hope that more can be done. Again, I want to be optimistic for the future, especially for the current administration. Well, not current, the next administration that will be coming in. Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. I'll be there for them. Did you mean for the stream? But yeah, thank you for agreeing. I would say that one of the, I would say, bad habits of human behavior that I've learned throughout my life is the importance of ensuring that we don't generalize, because not everyone from one group is the same. So, not like try to teach anyone, but just, it's what's the old saying is that, bad habits don't die fast or something. I forgot how it's worded, but something about habits, sometimes it's very hard to get rid of them, and generalizing is one of them. Is there any kind of Native American or indigenous educational institution? I know that there's a university in Kansas that is for indigenous people. I forgot what it was called. I think it starts with an H. It's funny because I remember when I was driving through Kansas, and it was right outside of Topeka, and I saw this indigenous this university. I forgot what it was called. It started with an H. Something I'll have to remember. But there are indigenous universities. I think there might be some in the Southwest, but definitely there is one in Kansas. And I know of all states, if you're an American, Kansas is, you wouldn't think Kansas, but there is one there. I think it's called, not Husky, but something. I might have to look it up. Let me look it up really quick. Y'all would give me just 1 second. Haskell, Indian Nations University. Yeah. So that's what it's called. Again, it is in Kansas. So thank you. I was almost about to say Canada. Speaking of Canada, that also brings up an interesting topic that I wanted to discuss as well, which was this acquisition of different states within the next administration. That being said, Greenland and Canada, I think that there's plans of having them become a part of the U.S. That's pretty wild. I would have never expected that growing up. And yeah, maybe I'm like smiling and laughing, but I think it's a serious matter that, yeah, I think we'll see a lot of changes within the next 4 years that we may be, laughing at now, but they could very well be serious. I was just writing bring this closer. Just writing a story about how two different tribes have different belief systems. Yes. Now, certain types of innovation were looked down upon due to the straying away from traditions. Oh, it's an interesting story that you're writing, The Mind. Oh, that's great. That's great that there's Indigenous institutions in Canada. I need to familiarize myself more with these institutions in the United States and in Canada more. I'm not too knowledgeable, I would say, about them. So thanks for bringing that up, Victoria. Get there was the acceptance due to an appearance oppressive technology being forced upon them. The people ultimately accepted. You can share more of this story that you're writing sometime. Mine. But yeah, to those that are tuning in, that are just coming in again, this is just kind of a stream by myself. Next week, I'll post an update on the next stream that I plan on making. And I think that will be very entertaining. So, yeah. If anyone didn't have any other questions, I think we went till 9. So, probably wrap up here. Due to these tribes, wars, family feuds that have been going on for generations. Yeah, I understand that. I've read a lot about that, unfortunately. It's sad. Yep. So again, thanks to everyone. Left comments. If anyone has any questions, just feel free to ask. Give it about one more minute and probably wrap things up. Also, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep this as a video, but we'll see. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Student of economics. Thanks, Steve. Again, gonna finish things up, but I hope you all have a nice morning, night, or afternoon. I look forward to interacting with you all more in the future. Thanks, Ancient Americas. Same to you too. Looking forward to seeing how everything goes, and I'll have to keep in touch. Definitely we will. All right, everybody. You guys all have a nice night, day, morning, and talk to you next time.